As COVID-19 has run rampant across the United States, do you fear of contracting such a virus?
When it comes to the coronavirus, me, myself, I'm not going to be affected so much if I got it. I wouldn't die. I don't have any underlying conditions, but everybody in my family does. So my dad has MS, my mom now has breast cancer, my sister has asthma, my other sister has a heart condition. I'm more worried about everybody else in my family and keeping myself safe for their sake.
I think that I'm more scared of catching it and then giving it to my friends or family and then causing them that grief of having to deal with it.
I would say that I'm a pretty extroverted person and I value my time with my peers a lot. I value my time with my friends and meeting new people.
And so I try to be more responsible, hang out with the same group of people, always wear my mask and wash my hands. I try to be careful at work because it's hard because you don't see people in your circle who you work with at work, just random customers and stuff. So, I try to be as safe as I can with still living my life.
It's just really been difficult for me not to be able to see everybody who I want to see or just socialize in general. It's very I come to a point where I'm at a breaking point. I need to see my friends, then I'll see my friend and then never not see them for another 5 weeks.
I just used to love going to class. I loved physically being in class and meeting my professors and peers, and not being able to do that's been really hard for me.
I don't think that online classes are at all comparable to my experience on campus living a complete college life. This is not living a college life right now. I'm taking 4 classes online right now and not seeing any of my college friends.
Most of the students that I've been in touch with aren't satisfied with distance learning. It leaves them wanting. I think what they say is that it would be nice to have the option to, take classes online, but they're really missing that face-to-face contact with professors and with peers as well.
A year ago, I was going to classes and was out of my dorm 12 hours a day, doing stuff and hanging out with friends no matter what. I was going to study hours with friends. This is not a college experience. I'm not even feeling that way. And I love learning. I love learning. I do. And I'm struggling with school right now, even though I'm taking classes that I like and I'm interested in.
Learning research tells us that people tend to learn a lot better in social settings, and whether it's group settings or being able to have the opportunity to visit a professor in office hours or work in small groups. So I think that students feel like they're falling behind, not just academically, but also socially.
It's just not the same to be sitting and having an avid discussion with your professor who has a large knowledge of a topic you enjoy than just sitting in front of a screen and watching a lecture.
I think students are really missing opportunities to be able to connect with their peers and with their faculty, with their professors. And so it seems like people are just socially starved, I think is the right word. Again, Zoom is great. I think people appreciate having, Zoom and video conferencing available, but there's something about that face-to-face contact, about the warmth, the intimacy, the energy that people get from hanging out with another human being that they're missing.
The whole disconnect from face-to-face and being behind a screen, I think, is also making a huge difference between understanding between teachers and students. I've had experiences this semester, teachers being extremely, very, very, rude even, I would say, just super unsupportive, super insensitive to everything that's been going on in my life. And then teachers not understanding that maybe I need an extra day because my mom was just diagnosed with breast cancer on top of all of that is so disconcerting. You don't have the decency to understand I just need one extra day for an assignment for a class that I don't need to be taken for my major. I just took this class because I felt like I wanted to learn something, and this teacher said no excuses, and so I dropped it. I was forced to drop it.
With this change in education, how has it affected you mentally?
I think mental health is very, for me at least, I really need structure and a sense of normalcy, and I do not like change. So I think when the pandemic hit and we all got sent home initially, I was probably fine that first month because it was still new and everyone was going through it, and I felt fine. It was definitely weird having school just roll onto the computer, but then I feel like I got used to it, and then I didn't like what I was getting used to. And so the whole summer was just kind of I'd go to work, I'd come home, and I'd run, and that would kind of be it.
I think the majority of students that I've seen, whether in individual therapy or group therapy, are concerned. I would say they have an appropriate level of concern, with very, very few exceptions. I think most of the students that I've come in contact with are taking precautions for themselves. We've been seeing students over Zoom. We have an encrypted version of Zoom, so we've been doing teletherapy, and most students are appreciative. Even if we were open, which would not be responsible, I think a majority of the students I've seen would prefer to do teletherapy.
I'm diagnosed with general anxiety disorder, panic anxiety disorder, and major depressive disorder. All of those. General anxiety disorder means that basically I am stressed out. I have anxiety about everything that is happening in the world pretty much all the time. It's very hard for me to calm down, which makes it so much worse during a global pandemic with everything happening in the world, with me not being able to have very much control over anything. And that is a huge part of anxiety, is the control aspect. If I feel like I don't have control of anything, then that's when anxiety starts to spiral. Actively searching out news right now would probably drive my stress beyond. I could not. I don't watch the news at all. Just the things that I'm aware of are enough for me to be on edge always. So I'm just trying to limit my news access.
Stay active, get your exercise, get outdoors if you can. Again, taking precautions, but get out there, get your exercise, try to connect with nature, whether we're talking about a 10 to 15 minute walk or a bike ride, or getting out on the beach in a safe way, anything that gets you out there and connected with nature.
I try to give myself a routine. I'll go to practice in the morning. If we can go to practice, I'll come home. We'll probably take a nap, and then I try to get my schoolwork done, or hang out with my roommate. Because my life 6 or 7 months ago was completely different than it is now, and that's everyone's probably going through that too, but it's definitely been affecting my mental state a little bit. I try to stay positive through it all, but it's definitely different. I definitely think it has a direct correlation.
Most people probably have some form of mental illness that is making it harder for them to live. And I think the stigma surrounding that, and the fact that most people feel like they can't ask for help for something like that because it's not physical, it's not they don't feel like it's substantial, which is not true. It's very it's something that you're living with, that there's something you can do to help yourself. And the hardest thing about mental health is asking for help.
Making connections, whether it's over Zoom, whether it's getting together with your classmates, not necessarily for classes, but for study group or just socializing, whether you are getting together with a few folks that you trust and you're social distancing and wearing masks. Maintaining social connection, I think, is very, very, very important.
I go to my friends and I talk to them, all my high school friends, and we're all sitting, laughing, discussing which antidepressants we're taking, making sure everybody's going to therapy. It should just be a natural part of life. This isn't something, you don't have to go through life alone in your brain. You don't have to be in your head alone, which I don't think people understand.
I think we're looking at some psychological and cultural costs where people are kind of dehumanizing each other a little bit. And I would just invite people to try to reconnect with their sense of empathy and compassion and responsibility for one another.
We're very social creatures. We're creatures that live life together. Humans are not meant to live life alone.